Hey guys, it's Stephanie.
This is Brandi.
And this is your weekly dose of BS.
You guys, I just had someone text me saying they RSVP'd for my wedding, and I don't have their number.
Who are they?
I don't know.
How many people did you invite?
Well, it's kind of weird to say, who is this? After they just RSVP'd,
Happy
right?
New Year.
New year, new phone. Interesting. How was y'all's New Year?
It was good.
Y'all spent it together.
It was really fun. It was actually, I had a good time. I actually liked Nashville, and I liked where we went for New Year because I am not like a big, I don't like to stand up when we're at a club or a bar or whatever. I could sit down most of the time. It was lovely. Yeah. They had food. They had good drinks. That's all I need. Not crappy drinks, a place to sit, and good food.
Y'all were in Nashville, right?
Uh-huh.
We were in Nashville.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
How's the weather in Nashville?
It was actually perfect, I feel like. I mean, it was nice enough to wear a sweater, but it wasn't cold enough to where you needed a jacket.
Did y'all bring kids?
It was raining 2 of the 3 days.
Oh.
Raining.
Oh, yeah, it was raining. But I like it. I look good when I'm wet.
You're walking through. I had this little camel colored jacket and this big hood, and Brian said I looked like somebody from Star Wars.
Yoda. Yeah. No. Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was pouring down rain, and you really can't Uber places because it's everyone's on the strip and everyone's walking. So it's just walking in the rain. Brandi didn't even have a jacket. She was just walking, soaking wet.
Don't worry, when I get to the bar, I'll dance and get warmer.
So, Brandi, you said that Nashville is like Vegas once you've aged out. What does that mean? I've never been to Nashville.
You know how you go to Vegas and then eventually you're halfway through, you're like, oh my God, is this trip almost over yet? Because I am over it.
I feel like that's
over
hour 6.
I'm over it. And then you go to bed and you hear coins going through your head, ding, 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 ding. Well, that was it. In Nashville, you go to bed and then all you hear is honky tonk music over and over again. And you're I'm over the live music. I'm ready to go home.
But also Vegas, it's all super young people. You go, it's I think it's more of a playground for college younger people, right? Or older people who have a gambling problem, but not really middle-aged people. Nashville, it's you just feel more, you feel it's people your age. It's you're hanging out, you're talking. It's more, I feel at least for me, whenever, it's kind of when I go to a nightclub, it's me and a bunch of 20-something-year-olds. My self-confidence
just likes a place to sit down.
Plummets, okay? And I don't like to feel I'm the a grandmother either. At places, I don't like to go in and be oh my God, I'm the old lady at a bar. How did my life get to this? And in Nashville, I did not feel like that.
No,
there are many old ladies at the
Nashville.
bar.
There's all the live music. And guess what? If you're wanting to make it in Nashville, everybody is good. Everybody you could hear on the radio. So if you're going there to go do karaoke, just don't do it.
No, everybody.
Because everybody's good.
Everybody. You walk into...
I can't wait to hear you on the radio one day. And the next place, I'm I better build their self-confidence too. I can't wait to hear you on the radio one day.
Everybody is
I'm Brian's broke by the end because I'm giving them all this money.
Yes.
I need a 20.
But it's amazing how much, talent that city. It's insane. Every bar, no matter if it's big or small, everybody is insanely good. They could be on the radio.
Yes.
Good.
It's so good. It basically comes down to looks, I feel at that point.
Yeah, right? They're all good. Okay, who's the hottest? Okay, well, he'll make it this year. But also we ate at Miranda Lambert's place.
Oh, it was so good.
Mexican food, so good.
What was it called? It was Rosa's Casa Rosa.
Casa Rosa.
Yeah,
yes.
It was so good.
And then for New Year's, we went to Justin Timberlake's restaurant bar.
Yeah, 45.
Wait.
Oh, wait, no, it's not 45.
It was 4 different numbers.
Yeah, and I kept messing them up, and then people would ask us where we were going, and they were it's okay, you don't have to tell us.
They thought we didn't want to tell them. I'm I know Justin Timberlake owns it.
Did y'all see any famous people in Nashville?
I did as I was walking home with Travis because we left a little earlier. I saw Kristen Cavallari walk by.
Oh.
And then 2 minutes later, I saw who's the girl on The Bachelor.
Oh yeah, Kristen Bristow or something.
Okay, they were all together that night.
I saw three famous people.
Who all did you see?
If you say Stephanie Hollman.
I was going to say Stephanie Hollman, Savannah Chrisley, and Todd Chrisley.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, I saw more than that. But Todd and Savannah, yes. But
I was so hammered most of the time, I wasn't going to see anybody.
She was seeing double. Double.
By the way, y'all know me. I am, as soon as we go on vacation, Will's up, I'm partying, and then Will's down. the last day, I was not making it. Like, I was like, and that is not, I was in rare form. I was like, I will have water and Sprite. Like,
That's because you had
Water
espresso
with
martinis.
Sprite?
yes, I literally woke up and I thought I was having a heart attack because my heart
How
was
many
racing.
espresso martinis did you have?
I really don't know. So,
At least 5.
Well,
That's a lot of
that's
espresso.
where your heart attack came from.
Yes. And anyways, it was a complete situation. However, you know how on all of our New Year's trips, we have some of our most famous stories
Yes.
of Stephanie farting on airplanes.
Some of your most famous farts.
I was trying to make it happen the last day at Casa Rosa.
You were trying
She
to make
literally
what happen? A fart?
Ordered a bowl of beans, like a bowl of refried beans, and she ate them all.
You and Jesus one day are going to have a hard talk
She's
about
like,
that.
I wouldn't have a tutti frutti good time on the way home because I was in coach with Travis.
That
And
is
I was
assault.
like, please. This other couple that was with us, I was like, please move their seats around so they can both sit right next to Stephanie.
Ew.
Oh my gosh. But Brandi had a lady come up to her telling
This was
her
when
about
we first arrived. So first, when we board the plane or whatever, Stephanie and Brian and I were in the front of the plane. They were in the back. And when she boards, I see her look at me and she's so excited. And I'm like, hi. And then she's like, hi, I'm so excited. I love you and Stephanie. And I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And then, so when we get off the plane, I go to the bathroom first and then I come out and I wait for Stephanie and Stephanie's in the bathroom. And this lady comes in and she's so excited. She goes into the stall and then she runs out and I'm standing like at the doors of the bathroom and she gives me a hand. She's like, I'm so excited. I love you and Stephanie. I'm so excited. I just have to tell you that I've been holding this fart this whole
What, for you? For you to hear it or something?
Yeah, and then she blew her a kiss with her butthole.
No, she's like, I've been holding this fart and I've been thinking about y'all the whole airplane ride. And then she goes, and I was like, oh, congratulations. And then she finally says, she goes, but I'm going to go let it out now. And I'm like, okay, good luck. And she goes into the stall and I'm like, oh my God.
Can I tell you that is my favorite thing about us? Everyone tells us about their potty situations. Like if they have the diarrhea, we know. If they have to fart, we know. If they have anything.
It's like, I'm glad that we're a safe zone.
This is y'all's legacy. This
We're
is
a
the
safe
brand y'all
place.
have built.
We're a safe place with people with bowel issues.
Do you know what neighborhood services for Christmas? They have toilet paper that with all these different sayings on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, I dare you. Like,
Challenge
Oh my
accepted,
God,
it
that's
sounds
so
like.
funny.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. But no, I could not. The beans, the magical fruit, no tooting on the way home. I tried. I was sitting by Travis. Actually, no, I was not sitting by Travis. I gave him an ultimatum. I said, listen, you always book our seats together and you always put me in the middle seat. I hate the middle seat. I hate it. I hate it with passion. So I said, you get either I'm in the window and you're in the aisle or vice versa, but do not put me in the middle seat anymore. I am done with that part of my life. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm done. Never
So
again.
were you just going to gas out the man in the middle?
Well, I was going to get up and go to the bathroom and then toot in Travis's face when I walked away, but I could not have it happen.
I wish you would. I wish it would be so loud.
But on both legs of the trip, Travis was so mad at me because we had a stranger sitting in the middle and I refused. I was like, I'm sitting by the window. I gave up. I gave up the middle seat with the New Year.
Wow.
Okay, so one of the other things that I love about Nashville is you don't have to get dressed up at all. Like
No.
at
Really?
all. Like I'm telling you, and I can say this, trailer trash is okay there. Like,
No, you can wear whatever because everyone's walking around too. Like you're walking everywhere. So it's like everyone's in somewhat normal shoes. And
yeah, we have one friend, not to name names, but he wore the same thing every day.
I was like, you are going to start stinking.
And then it was funny because I don't even know if he brushed his teeth. Because
What?
so he was in heaven because the bars don't close till like 4 there. And then if they do close, then they
No.
open right back up at 5. So yes. So you can just keep going and keep going and keep going.
Yeah, you can walk outside.
So he was making people laugh on
My
the
body
elevator.
can't do that.
Well, he was making people laugh on the elevator, and these girls, they got off and were walking, and they were like, ah, like he was real funny, but he smelled horrible.
Oh,
Like his breath.
no. They told you that?
Well, they didn't know I was with him because I was like,
And you were like, I agree. He's nasty.
he is so nasty. And then when he took a bite of my food, I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to eat that anymore because I don't know if you brush your teeth.
Oh my gosh. On one of the days this was the day before, well, it was the first day we got here. Whenever the Cowboy game played, we were at this little bar that was close enough for
By the way,
boys
we didn't even make it to the Cowboy game.
Oh, what? No.
We didn't even make it to the Cowboy game.
No,
we opted out.
We just stayed at the
It
bar.
was cold and rainy.
Isn't that why y'all went?
Yes.
The boys went. The boys went. We were good. We were good. We just stayed. So at some point, Brandi's like father-in-law, sister-in-law, everyone was there, and I like to eat when I drink. Like I'm like one of those people. If I've had a few drinks of meat, get me a burger. I'm not that person that doesn't drink whenever or doesn't eat when I drink. Like I have to eat. So I was like, Mandy, I need a burger. I have to eat. Like I'm starving. So then we go downstairs, and Brandi's having fun with her family. So then her. I guess like her brother-in-law comes downstairs. He's like, I'm going to get Brandi some nachos. So he orders him a plate of nachos and Brandi a plate of nachos. And he takes them upstairs where Brandi is. I finish my burger, come upstairs. And I'm like, Brandi, how are your nachos? She's like, what? Somebody ordered me nachos? Everybody ate her nachos. Like everyone at the table, all the drunk asses ate her nachos. She had no food.
Needless to say, I was passed out by 10 o'clock that night.
So then Brian's dad gave her these, he was like, here's some nachos. And he like picked off all the good stuff. There's like chips and like a few pieces of cheese on top of it. And she's like, no, it's okay. Thank you.
We went back to our hotel and I ordered food at the hotel though.
That was
a big basket of French fries.
Oh yeah.
Why do we always eat French fries when we're drunk?
Hotel French fries are the best.
So
they are so good.
They're $25 and they're worth it.
Yes,
They're so expensive. But I have to tell you, so speaking of anything goes in Nashville, so there's this one lady and I can't explain how her pants looked. Do you remember this lady?
What did her?
So I can't explain how her pants looked, but one of the guys we were with decided he was going to compliment them. And he's like, man.
Like they were ugly.
Well, and one of the guys, it's not our husbands, people, because I know the story now. They were, okay, so the pants were patent leather pants. Were they black or what color were they?
Yeah, they were like holographic.
Like rubber, right?
Yeah.
Like rubbery.
Like holographic kind of looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like very entertaining. So the guy's like, man, I like your pants. I wonder if those would fit me. And she says, well, I'm not going to lie. It took me some Vaseline to get these up in here. And then he's like, well, can I take a shot off of them? And she goes, well, I also put Vaseline on the outside of them. So when I walk, they won't squeak.
Definitely patent leather pants. Yep.
Nashville's quite the place.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yes, I have baby oil.
Oh, well, I've never Vaselined myself up.
Well, I mean, I would rather have the
pants.
squeaky so people could find me. Quick.
Oh, you think that until you're squeaking along.
I don't know. You don't know how much gas you retain. You might be squeaking enough as it is as you walk. Wow. Well, I am so glad to hear y'all had such a great time in Nashville. When we come back, I want to hear all about y'all's interview with Savannah Chrisley.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I cannot wait for y'all to hear some of this.
Okay, so Stephanie called me one of the days y'all were on your trip and said that y'all were on your way to record a podcast episode with Savannah Chrisley.
Yes.
I have never been more jealous because I would have 1.5 million questions. How was that?
Oh, she's amazing.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. We met Savannah, the whole Chrisley family, years ago at Upfronts for NBC. And they're just a lovely, beautiful family. I think we're both obsessed with them and their show that was on. But yeah, I had reached out to Savannah months ago when I knew that we were going to Nashville and said, hey, we're coming in town. Let's party. And she's like, yes, girl, let's party. And then at about midnight, I remembered, oh yeah, I'm supposed to call Savannah.
Okay. Did you see Todd?
We did.
Yes.
Oh, what?
Yes,
Yeah.
he came to say hello.
Give me all the details.
I mean, he's
what
like,
was talked about? What was he wearing? What was said?
he is the best. I mean, he's always like very classic dress. Like his face, like is like like his skin, everything's just looks so good. Brandi and I were like,
really good
what
skin.
in the world? His skin looks better than ours. What in the world? Yeah, he was just really nice. He just came to say hello. I mean, he really didn't say much of anything, just to let us know that he's like excited that we're here. How's time in Nashville?
And he loves his family. He loves his family. And that's the one thing I will say, that he just dotes on his children, loves them to pieces, and is not afraid to say it. So I admire that about him.
And then we talked about how when we first met him, it was at the Upfronts, which was before our show had even I know it had not been aired yet, and maybe they had just announced it, or maybe it was before they even announced it. But the Chrisleys were a family that we saw in the hallway, and we were like, Brandi and I were so excited. I was like, oh my God. So then they were probably I would say them and Shaw's Sunset were the two nicest groups of people that really just treated us so well, were so welcoming. But
very opposite of housewives.
Yeah.
Like how they were like, oh, you're just another one of us.
Well,
yeah.
Stephanie and I were talking the other day just about, I was looking Savannah up after y'all went to her podcast. She was on that show for 8 years. She started doing that when she was 16 or 17. That is like, I mean, like your whole life.
Yeah.
At that point. That's crazy.
It's
Wow.
insane.
Okay, so was any of like her parents' sentencing talked about? What was...
No, we respected that they're going through it. And so we respected their privacy. And if that was something that she felt comfortable opening up a little bit about, then that was on her. And you'll have to tune in and listen because she does kind of talk a little bit about, just the pain that a lot of people don't know that they were going through, because when you watch their show, you see kind of like Stephanie described it best, I think, when we were in the moment, about how the show was so positive and uplifting, and there was a lesson, and it was always wrapped up to this pretty bow. Yeah. And Savannah had opened up that behind the scenes, you didn't know everything that they were going through, even to the point to where, I mean, she definitely acknowledged that, that the producers were not on their side, that she was very aware that they were not on her side. So to protect her family, they were very, very cautious of everything that they did with the cameras around.
So here's some of our conversation with Savannah Chrisley on her podcast, Unlocked with Savannah Chrisley.
My parents always told us, they were like, these producers don't care about you. Like, they don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They will act like they care about you in the moment until they get what they need. Yeah. And then they don't care if your life is falling apart off camera. They don't care about any of that as long as they get what they need.
Yes.
And that was so obvious to me, like, the older I got, because I would see, I was more careful about putting my relationships out there because it was never my narrative. It was always their narrative of wanting it to be funny and a comedy and all these things. And I was like, but that's not the truth. Like, I was with someone for 4.5 years. We were dating. We got engaged. We called it off. We went back to dating. But they don't want to touch on any of that.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part, was like, okay, how can I get my truth out there when no one else is allowing that?
Yeah.
Right. And that was the hardest part, I think.
It is hard. Yeah.
And I think that's why, because I announced that I was leaving the show before they'd even taken it on hiatus, just for me, because you reach like a point where you're like, okay, I'm going through what the end for me was my mother-in-law passing away. And then we had, I was pregnant with our 4th child. And then there's a cheating scandal out there. And I just thought there was no way around it to where I could protect my family, or it was just going to be public no matter what. And so go away gracefully and just be like, okay, this is the end for me. And I've enjoyed sharing my life with everyone. But at this point, like it's time to step away. And I think that the hard part is that I love doing it. Like, I loved being there with my best friend, and I loved and
to get paid to actually hang out with your friend.
Yes. But then the hard part is that people don't know. They think they know, and then they judge you, and they think that they know your husband. They think they know your kids. And when they attack your husband and your children, and you're like, no, we all go through shit.
It showed such a gross side to the people that watch, because the fans would send her daughter the video, and she learned about it not from Brandi, but from a fan who, that it was just so gross because she's a kid.
Well, see, it's crazy because I feel like I've seen it firsthand, at least with me. I got through 15 years. I got to be a normal kid for 15 years. And then, but Grayson, he's 16 now, but he started TV at 5, 5 or 6. And it's so it's kind of sad to watch him because he's such an adult at 16 years old. And especially now with everything my parents are going through and watching him go through it, it's like, I look at him sometimes and I'm like, you are not a kid. And it's so hard because I'm like, I want you to be a kid, but he speaks about things and I'm like, this is not a normal 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And to think of like, he doesn't really remember his life before TV. Like he just remembers like filming, and he had a job, and because that's what we always told him was like, this is a job, like people are depending on you. So he didn't get to have a normal childhood. And now he's in therapy. He's, working through it, but it completely, I feel like, changes. You grow up so fast.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like, for me too, I go to date and it's like, I don't date people my age because I'm like, I can't relate. Like it's 17 years old. I was worried about like a mortgage and health insurance and a car payment. And I was like, I'm not worried about like going and getting drunk at a party, Like there was so much more. And you grow up so fast.
It is. It's really hard on kids. I remember I think it was season 1. I've always been such a people pleaser. And anytime they wanted my kids to film, and my kids were so little, I would be like, okay, yeah. And I would kind of make them put on a show. And Housewives, we're the only ones that get paid. Like my husband, our kids don't get paid. So we're the only ones that get paid. And there was a scene where I think that we were going we lived on the Four Seasons at that time, and we had to get in the golf cart and go to the Four Seasons, I think to see your kids, if I'm not mistaken, or somebody they were really excited to see. And the producers kept having the kids like go out of the house, get into the golf cart, and then they would drive off a little bit, and then they'd be like, okay, we have to do this again. And they did it like 10 times. Yeah. And to the point to where my kids were like having a little temper tantrum. They were melting down. Yeah. They were very young. And when I got there, I was flustered. It was because my kids were so upset. They were upset. And I remember it hit me. I'm like, they are setting my children up for failure, and I'm for sale. Obviously, I'm getting paid, but they're not for sale. I'm not going to have them go to school and be humiliated because mommy wants to be on the Real Housewives of Dallas. It's not fair to them. So after that, I only let them film when they wanted to. It was always an option. Do you want to do this? So here's your day rate. Like they had me pay them a little day rate. But I really didn't have them on that much because I realized that they weren't even using the kids in a way that was fair to them. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that was the thing with Chloe, because Chloe's 10 now. So, I mean, she was on TV starting at a year old, I think. Mm-hmm. And these producers were like, no, she has to take a nap. Like she, they nap till, I don't know, like 4 or 5, whatever it is. And they were like, well, we need her to film. And it's like, well, no, like she has to nap. And if she doesn't, she's going to be a nightmare. Yes. And then, like you said, it's just they set them up for failure. Mm-hmm. And Chloe, even yesterday, we were in the car and she was like, when can I do your podcast? And I was like, what are you going to talk about? I'm like, you're 10 years old. She goes, life. And I was like, what do you know about life at 10 years old? And I was like, what do you like? How's growing up on TV? And she goes, well, it's fun when it's real. But when they just tell me all the things to say, it's not fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like at 10 years old, I'm like, oh God, like, it definitely, it leaves an impression. And it's so hard now. Like I said, we all keep like therapists on payroll, like the kids, us, everyone's in therapy, and it's been a game changer. Mm-hmm. But just reality television's hard.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You guys know I love therapy. I am such a big advocate of therapy and taking care of yourself. I have been in places in my life where I did not see a way out of something that was a part of my life that was very painful. And I, at the time, did not feel like I had anyone to turn to. And I took really drastic measures to cope with something that was honestly just temporary pain. I think a lot of people just don't know how to deal with things when they come their way. And sometimes you feel so alone, like there's no way out, and you don't realize that when things feel like they're at their worst and they're never going to get better, a lot of times at the end of that is a beautiful moment and lessons that you're going to learn, and things always get better. And I think it's beautiful to have someone like BetterHelp, who have therapists who can help guide you and talk to you and support you through those times, because not everybody has a support system and not everyone feels comfortable going to people with their problems. BetterHelp is convenient, flexible, affordable. It's all online. You can talk to someone on the phone, or if you want to see somebody, you can video chat with them and check it in via text message throughout the week. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/weeklydose today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/weeklydose.
Here's more of Stephanie and Brandi's interview with Savannah Chrisley on Unlocked.
I started on TV at 15. So, and I'm now 25, so 10 years later. And I was, in my teenage years, I tried committing suicide, and it was due to, a multitude of things, but also the things that people would say. And it's like, especially during those years, you're like, these are the most
impressionable.
Yes. Yeah. And like, you've got people saying like, we were out in LA filming our spinoff show, and I was diagnosed with like endometriosis. I've always been like a thin, person.
Yeah.
And I competed in pageants, and it was just being on TV, you're like, all right, I have to look perfect. I have to at all hours. And I started this medication. I literally gained like 30, 40 pounds in like 3 months because of my endometriosis. And people would just come at me like, oh, looks like you ate yourself. Looks like you ate one too many cheeseburgers. Look like, and you are like, what? Who am I? This is who people are telling me I need to be. This is who. And there was just so many different things going on, and just having people come at you and, just think they know your life. And it was just like, I can't do this anymore. And there was so many times to where it's like, I just kept running and running and running. And then you finally get to a point you're like, I can't run anymore. Yeah. And I also can't deal with feeling how I feel. But it's so crazy because no one ever knew. Like, we hid it so well. Like, producers didn't know. No one knew a thing. And people don't realize their words.
Oh, yeah.
And even throughout this whole legal scandal that we've been going through, the things that people have said, I'm like, how can you say that to a child? And like, that's what we were going back to your daughter and things that she had found out is like, how do grown adults think it's okay to
do that?
And my favorite part is like, you go to their profile and it's like, mother, lover of Jesus.
Yes,
and
always.
Always.
So
and I'm
horrible.
like,
Yes.
You're so right. I'm like,
I was like, this does not make sense to me. Through therapy, one of the biggest things I learned was like, anyone that I date, I can't expect them to be my dad.
yeah.
Because like my dad, there was never a time to where like growing up, I never worried, okay, is dad coming home tonight? Is mom coming home tonight? Like, mom had dinner on the table every night. Dad, like, I always knew where they were, and I always knew they were going to show up. And I always my dad invested so much time and energy into me. And I've seen now with like the people that I date, and I'm like, well, why can't they communicate like him? Like, why can't they, and I've had to work through that of like, okay, it's really not fair for me to hold someone to a standard that I hold my dad to when he's gained my trust and everything over 25 years versus someone new that comes into the picture. And I think that was probably the biggest downfall of my last relationship was that I'm so close with my dad, and I expected the person that I was with to, live up to those standards.
Right.
While at the same time, he maybe wasn't, how can I expect that of a 27-year-old? My dad's 53, 56, somewhere around there, somewhere up in there. But, I'm expecting something out of a 27-year-old that a 55-year-old is just now being able to give, but you learn, like you said, as a child, it shapes you. Yeah. And you have unrealistic expectations or you have things that you try to fix through other people. And I feel like it's just part of it.
Yeah, no, totally. I have to say though, you're an amazing woman and you're so strong. And I just love you and your faith and your family's faith, and your parents did an amazing job with y'all. And you're a product of the testimony to them.
And your dad was here earlier before we started this, and he's just such a kind and amazing person. Like, your whole family is so nice. I remember whenever we first met you. And I was so starstruck.
It was like over 10 years ago.
It was a long time ago. It was before our show even started. And you guys were the nicest people to us that day. We met so many different, people on TV through the NBC family, and by far you guys were the ones that stuck out to us. You guys were so kind,
and also going through like my deepest, darkest hours. Your parents were there for me and reached out. I mean, you're just an amazing, beautiful family.
Thank you. And that's the hardest part too. I think is like going through what we're going through right now. We're in like one of the toughest seasons we've ever been in, and I see all that because with the way that I deal with things, I'm trying to get out of it, but I read everything so that I'm prepared for anything that comes my way if someone says something. And I see all the hateful things that are said, and I'm like, that is not who my parents are. And like when you know who someone is, and then you see all the hateful things that are being said, it's like, no. Like my dad, this is the same man that showed up for my ex when he tried committing suicide, and my dad stopped him. And it's the same, my dad sat with him in a hospital. My dad, like, he shows up for people time and time again, and he never does it for praise, or he doesn't, there's so many things that he does that no one knows about. And then it's just, you've got this like public perception that is so hard to not fight against. And then the moment you start fighting against it, people are like, oh, you're trying to hide something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
I know.
You
no.
cannot make people happy. I will say, yes, you're same thing with Brandi. Like one of the hardest seasons I had, your dad reached out to me as well privately on Instagram, just saying, I'm praying for you and it's going to be okay. It was just so like, that's very rare, I think, for people to do,
like
to
what
care
you said,
enough.
like if people have misconceptions, like it's 100%, like, I don't know, like it makes me just, I want to fight for y'all. I really do. Yeah. Cause it's just not fair.
Yeah. And that's honestly, there's been, and I say like, as hard as all of this has been, it's brought so many good people into our life who are, stepping up, and you just see like people's loyalty, and you also see the people who have always said that they're there for you, but that disappear.
You find out who your real friends are whenever times get hard.
For that, I'm like so grateful. I'm like, as hard as this has been, I've seen who the real people are that are in my life, and I've seen my parents and their growth and with their faith and that was the hardest part for me, was like I went through such a phase of anger because I was like, how are there two people that are so steadfast in their faith? And when I tell you, like, on their hands and knees praying, like humbling themselves to a place that they've never been, and then you see things play out the way they've played out, and there's like, you work through this anger and you work through, but it's also like, hey, they wouldn't be in their faith where they're at if it wasn't for this. Yeah. So you have to find the silver lining, and like, you got to have your breakdown to have your breakthrough. I'm a firm believer in that. And yes, we love Jesus, but also if people come at us, like, I'm sorry, it's hard to not defend yourself.
Yeah. No,
and people
100%.
will say, oh, you want to talk about loving God, but you're going to out someone. Well, guess what? They went to tabloids and like spread all this false stuff. And just because I love Jesus doesn't mean I'm not going to call you out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, 100%. Yes.
Like, no, people are like, oh, you're so fake. You want to talk about God, but then you're going to like call someone out. And I'm like, but
yeah,
I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just correcting the narrative.
The truth. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm just putting the truth out there and directing you on where to find the truth. And, all the people that have like worked years to tear us down, and they don't want their dirty laundry coming out. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't have, like, sorry, but no, yes, I love Jesus, but like, I'm outing you. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's, people think just because you talk about Jesus that you can't,
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like when Brian got me for our anniversary, he got me a Clone the Willy thing. And
what is that?
You clone your penis, basically.
No!
Yes.
Stop.
And people were like, I thought she was Christian. I'm like, well, guess what? It was his penis.
Guess what? Christians get freaky too. They do. I have one friend and she's like, I love Jesus, but I love to cuss. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like, you learn. You're not always going to be perfect. And too, like we're human beings.
I know.
That was a really good interview, you guys.
Thank you. We love Savannah.
It was such a fun podcast to be on. And her podcast is amazing. She is an amazing person. And I hope you guys check out her podcast, Unlocked with Savannah Chrisley.
Because that was not the full episode you just listened to. So there's a lot more to that interview you can go listen to. She's also on YouTube, right? Isn't that where she has a huge
You
audience?
can watch the full episode on YouTube.
Nice.
Thank you guys so much for listening and supporting. You can follow me at Steph Hollman on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok.
And me at Brandi.
Are you sure? TikTok's a new one. Yep.
Yeah.
And me at Brandi Redmond. I don't have TikTok.
Brandi, you should. You're like a good dancer.
I can't.
And you can follow our podcast at BS the Podcast. And you can watch us on YouTube at Weekly BS. Bye.
Bye.